Yo, what is up? What is up, YouTube boxing family? It is K right here. I am back with another good video for you guys today. And let's get right on to it. We have a very good topic for me to give you guys for tonight. Also, Happy New Year. May more success come to you guys, and I hope you guys are going further and beyond for what you're doing in this amazing new year of new opportunities. And I hope I can become successful with what I do for my career for IT, and just keep going further for that path that I want to hit. So yeah, let's get right into it, man. We have a pretty special topic that I'm going to be talking about for Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury cheating. Recap. See, now, as far as the situation goes, I've already made like enough evidence to show why Fury was a culprit of cheating, but I don't think I need to explain more other than let's just recap the second and third fight, and let's understand why Fury... Well, actually, no, let's recap all three fights. I think it's pretty important to understand like the ramifications behind all three fights. See, now, shout out to Nicholas Asbury, obviously former heavyweight sparring partner of Tyson Fury. He exposed Tyson Fury predating to the first fight because, remind you, Nicholas Asbury, he sparred Tyson Fury, getting him ready for the Klitschko fight, and then after that, leading to that point on, Tyson Fury was also using him for the first Wilder fight. See, now, the thing that people don't understand with Fury is that Tyson Fury was already a cheater predating to, I probably say, the John McDermott fight or even earlier in his career. But Fury, he was never a clean fighter. He was never this big mega puncher, and he still isn't a mega puncher. I don't think of it to even be so, and I don't think Fury even knows himself that he's just believing in his own, mentally retarded hype that makes him, how should I say it, that makes him think that he doesn't have, any deficiencies, and I think that's just due to his mental retardation as a fighter per se. But I think when it's all said and done, I think he understands that he's not going anywhere in his career with the least amount of, how should I say, experience in terms of his skills goes. Because when Tyson Fury started out, he was not knocking people out. He was most likely decisioning people. And when he started getting knockouts, you can start to see that his knockouts are just referee stoppages. He's not knocking people out. And my rule of thumb when it comes to any knockout in boxing, you have to knock them out. You can't just rely off of the referee to give you a stoppage, because I don't see that to be valuable, and that doesn't make you look any better on television to think that that you're some ultimate badass because you just be stopping everybody and blah blah blah. And that's not how it works. Like, boxing is a thinking man's game, but it's also a power man's game in terms of natural ability to set up a good shot to become a bigger threat in the ring. So the problem with this whole analogy that people say that Tyson Fury had power to begin with, he was not knocking anybody out, not one bit. See, now, when we recap the whole Wilder thing, the first fight was obviously not shown enough, but when Fury did cheat Wilder in the first fight, a lot of people started to see his glove flappy in the left part of his glove. And remind you, Tyson Fury, he's a piece of shit when it comes to his cheating tactics, but you can easily tell when he's actually in a really bad position of actually cheating. And when he cheats, he likes to hide a lot of things that makes him successful in his attempt to cheat. So that's the bigger problem with Fury because he's not like your typical cheater where he tries to give out certain clues of like how he cheats, but when he does cheat, like he's in the position of utilizing what he does in the ring to make himself a more prominent figure in terms of what he does to be successful. So the bigger issue is just that when Fury is cheating, the bigger problem with Fury is that he is in a position where he tries to how should I say he tries to put himself, at a much grander scheme of thinking, no one's going to catch him. And in the first fight with Walter, it clearly showed that he was with a lot of ill intent, showing proof that he is cheating, but people were not thinking as if this is like something that he's been new or like accustomed to doing. And to all you idiots in the back to say, oh nah, you're just talking rubbish, blah blah blah, he never cheated Walter in any of the fights, blah blah blah. Well, if he never cheated, why was he saying that, after the fight, he damn near died fighting Walter, and he said that he needs to get his hands in oil dipped in, or he needs to have his hands dipped in oil to beat Deontay Wilder. And he was pretty much admitting, saying that, I need to up the scale in cheating in order to cheat Deontay Wilder and become successful in what I need to do. So that was like the main issue with this whole situation, because Tyson Fury, like he knew from the first fight with Deontay that formulation of cheating was not enough, and that's what caused like the whole situation with Fury, being viewed as a cheater, at a bigger stage, because remind you, he cheated other people. He cheated guys like, John McDermott. He cheated guys like Derek Chisora, which Chisora, he pretty much admitted, saying that Tyson Fury, he has been, using forms of cheating against him, and he used a certain pair of gloves to make sure that he was actually like hurting Chisora and causing, the fight to be a lot more unfair per se. And I mean, it just pretty much shows like he's not like a man of his word. Like, I mean, if you're going to be a type of guy where you are just not going to play by the rules and be a good role model for other people to look at you, then that's really how, the sport really goes. Like, I mean, I don't really know what else to really say, because it's like Tyson Fury has shown enough evidence leading up to the Wilder fights, is that no matter how much he uses his skills to say that he's this grand scheme pure boxer, in which he's not, because I don't see it. Because if you're a pure boxer and you have all this tremendous skill, to say that you have all this great boxing ability, then you should be, using your boxing ability to be good at what you do. So, I mean, the problem with him is that he chooses not to be good with his boxing ability. But then when he converts it at the high level, he's not beating nobody good. He's been beating marginal opposition, in which you haven't really beat anybody high level. I mean, your best win is Vladimir Klitschko, who is way past his prime. And Klitschko, he like if I'm not mistaken, this is Klitschko before he fought Anthony Joshua. But Klitschko, he was already in multiple wars where he wasn't even at his highest peak anymore. But still, it's like Vladimir Klitschko is not at any peak of his career to even be respectfully notified as a good heavyweight. And I mean, this is coming from someone that liked Klitschko back in the day, but I'm not gonna sit here and say Klitschko is like the ultimate badass. No. And I mean, that's just simply because, like, I don't know, like I never looked at Klitschko to be like the best guy out there. But it's like, when you look at how he's been moved, along with his brother Vitaly Klitschko, in which good enough, Vitaly Klitschko, he got beat out by, some pretty high level stable opposition. But I mean, him and his brother Vladimir, they strategically ducked a lot of good fights in the heavyweight division that could have been made, and that's where you get like the Tyson Furies, of the world to be hyped up off of, just lesser version wins. It's like, no one cares that you beat Vladimir Klitschko. Like, no one gives two crap that you beat up on a cruiserweight in Steve Cunningham. And for Steve Cunningham, he was arguably whipping your ass, in your fight with him, and it took you having to fight dirty against him to barely win that fight. And I mean, it wasn't even like a fair fight from the beginning, because Tyson Fury knew from the beginning that he was not beating Steve Cunningham unless he actually cheated him. And I think with Steve Cunningham, he even explained it himself. Like, after I let the fight, Fury and his team reached out to him to try to get sparring with him, because, they were like, obviously wanting to learn more from his skill set. But it's like, it clearly shows like Tyson Fury is not a good fighter. Like, he has to get beat up by a good fighter to understand where he's at, and in the skill level of his fighting style. And he does not show anything to the rest of the world in terms of heavyweight fighting, where he's really coming into the heavyweight division just blowing dudes out, because he's not. So, I mean, case in point, I mean, Fury fans can say that he was already good at the high level stage because he was beating up on some good talent, but he wasn't really beating up on anybody. If you can name Fury's best victories, his best victories minus Deontay Wilder cheating scandals would be Vladimir Klitschko, in which he cheated, by the way, and his other victory with who else? His other victory with I think that's it. I mean, it's just technically Vladimir Klitschko. I mean, he's not coming out of his way like beating up on, high level opposition. So I don't see it to even be true. I think Klitschko, he arguably shows to Fury that, it really has to take him being on drugs and being banned from the sport, leading up to the Wilder fights, that he's just not that good. And I mean, if you think he's good, I mean, that's fine. But when he's a criminal and he's admitting to the world that he's not, the greatest fighter out here, then it pretty much shows, the bluff in what people say, about Tyson Fury. So, I mean, either way, I mean, it doesn't matter to me, because, I don't like Fury, but I will be one of the many to say, or one of few to say, that Fury's not that good, and, he doesn't show anything, spectacular in his skill set to be a good fighter, because, he's admitted that he's not a good fighter, because he has to be, cheating other guys, and then he has to expose himself for saying, like, he was already drugged up coming into this fight and that fight. And I mean, I could even talk about the John McDermott and in the Christian Hammer fight, where Nicholas Asbury, he even exposed Tyson Fury for, coming out of his way to cheat John McDermott. Well, John McDermott, he exposed Fury alone, but either way, like, if you just take a look at it, like, McDermott, he was in a position of basically beating Fury in the first fight of their situation. And the whole deal with that was that Fury, he wanted like a rematch with John McDermott, because he got exposed real bad. And the issue of the manner was that Tyson Fury, he was coming to a situation where he wanted to basically cheat John McDermott to the second fight, and John McDermott decided not to want to fight him leading up to the fight. But what happened was that Fury was in bed with the British Board of Boxing Control, and what happened was that if John McDermott did not take the fight with Fury in their second fight in the rematch, because what happened was that Fury, he was using tampered gloves, and the gloves that he used was Paffin Sport gloves that didn't have any padding on them. So John McDermott was like, no, like, I'm not gonna fight him because, you know, this is gonna cause me brain damage. So what happened was that Fury was like, okay, you don't want to fight us, then we're going to sue you, or we're going to try to get you prosecuted by whatever form of British law to basically say that, you know, you have to fight us, or else, you know, we're going to sue you and basically threaten your entire family. So, I mean, it's just case in point of what Tyson Fury is as a fighter, and, you know, what his background is coming into the sport. And John McDermott had already made his piece about him, and yeah, you know, he's right about it. You know, I think it's pretty much clear to say, coming to the Deontay Wilder fight, we already knew what Tyson Fury was already on. He was already banned from the sport, fighting in the UK at least, because he was banned for 5 years for being exposed for having nandrolone in his system. You know, leading to the post-fight for Klitschko. And, you know, that's what, you know, makes Tyson Fury not a valuable champion, because he ain't no fucking champion. He's a fucking cheater. You know, he's a cheating, you know, criminalized, you know, non-champion in boxing. You know, he's a cheating champion. That's really what he is. You know, he's not a champion. He's a low-tier class cheater. So, you know, with people like that, he usually comes out of that school of using, you know, whatever cheating mechanisms to make himself feel better. And, you know, that's like the whole point of Fury's motto: if I can't beat you, then I have to cheat you. And I think that's, you know, the problem with Fury, because Fury, you know, he's in this stage of his career where, oh man, he's in the stage of his career where he comes out of his way doing some really, you know, crazy shit, and that's how he's able to, you know, prioritize himself in a certain manner to do what he needs to do. So pretty much leading up with Wilder fights, we already knew in the first fight he was already tampering his gloves and he was doing all this crazy stuff, and he was already in the position of wanting to take advantage of what was in front of him to try to see if he could cheat Deontay Wilder, in which, in the first fight, you know, like I said, it wasn't enough cheating. So in the second fight, for those of you that didn't know, Deontay Wilder's trainer, Mark Breland, in which I would definitely believe it to be true, but, you know, he was handling Deontay Wilder's water, in which Deontay Wilder said it himself: I felt like I was drugged in the second fight. But Mark Breland claimed to say that he wasn't handling Deontay Wilder's water, in which he did. And Deontay Wilder ended up looking very drugged, very slow on his feet. And Tyson Fury, in his right part of his glove, he had it tampered. And, you know, it wasn't shown until that the fight started to age out more. But, you know, Deontay Wilder, every time when he got knocked down, those weren't actual, you know, destructive knockdowns. Like, these are knockdowns where Deontay Wilder did not have any punch resistance to feel comfortable in his punches. So, I mean, that's what makes Deontay Wilder, I should say, more susceptible to, you know, more punches. So that's why he was able to do what he needed to do against Deontay Wilder for Fury's case, to be successful in hurting Deontay Wilder a lot easier. So I think that's what made Deontay Wilder not realize that Fury was already cheating him. And once he found it all out, that's what made the whole situation come out a lot more vibrant. And that's what, you know, made Fury look more of a, exposable fraud for being that type of crook to try to, you know, go through, attempted murder against Deontay Wilder. And once Deontay Wilder, once he laid out more evidence that was obviously done by us through either the LDBC or just people that cared about the justice in the sport, that's what made, all the marbles or all the puzzle pieces come together. Because, remind you, Tyson Fury never had power in his career, but leading up with a fight like Wilder, he's coming into the fight all drugged up, looking like he's like a super soldier, in which he's not a super soldier. He's just a flat, he's a fat, piece of shit blob. But I mean, that's what Tyson Fury is. He's just fat, but he's only fat against opponents where he knows that he's not able to win. And to me, like, to anybody that watches boxing and that is a former fighter that does look at these things in the sport, you can easily tell with a caliber of Fury's level, he's by no means like coming into these fights clean when he knows he's in a tough fight with a very heavily game opponent. So with a guy of Deontay Wilder's caliber, you know that Deontay Wilder can easily smoke you with one punch, whether if it's coming from the right hand or his left hand. But it's just like people don't realize it until Deontay Wilder actually comes out of his way and actually hurts you. So with Fury, it just pretty much shows like Tyson Fury, like he was already in the mode of showing his deficiencies in the sport. But it's just like, when you look at somebody, in the sport of boxing that's not coming out of their way to be a fair fighter, you understand that there's certain levels to this game, like how people say with a fighter's skill sets being higher than another fighter. But with Tyson Fury, he doesn't show that. Like, if he was better than Deontay Wilder based off of skills, then why not beat Deontay Wilder based off of skills? Like, if you know you're better than someone in a sport that you're campaigning at, then you don't need to cheat them, you just beat them. So that's what got me pissed at Fury, because it's like, if you're better than someone, then just beat them up. Like, you could do that by just fairly coming out of your way and just being successful. So I mean, it's not even to say that, Fury and whoever does cheating in boxing is, not skilled, because they have to have some skill, but they're not supremely skilled. It's just that, they're just, scammers. They're mediocre level, athletes that choose not to put in the work because they know, what their limitations are, in their profession. So, moving forward with Tyson Fury, it pretty much proves that, when Deontay Wilder was trying to, beat Tyson Fury, in a fair fight, and Tyson Fury showed in his skill levels that he is not anywhere near Deontay Wilder's level. That's why in the second fight, if you just notice, like, every time when Deontay Wilder tried to make the attempt to try to hurt Fury, Tyson Fury, he was scared. He wasn't able to do what he needed to do against Deontay Wilder when Deontay Wilder was able to gain his bearings coming into the fight. And I think that's what caused, the fight to look a little bit more, very iffy, because, people were not so sure of how Deontay Wilder was responding to those punches that Fury was landing. But it's like it clearly showed as the fight aged more that Tyson Fury's punches were not hurting Deontay Wilder they were hurting Deontay Wilder because he got cheated. But if Deontay Wilder, if he was fully able to go out on a shield like people say that he couldn't do, because in the third fight he still got up from Fury's quote-unquote knockout punch, because he didn't knock out Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder got screwed over by the referee to call it a knockout. So Deontay Wilder did not get knocked out by Fury. Tyson Fury could not knock out Wilder. It took a referee to cheat Deontay Wilder from giving him a fair count, versus with Tyson Fury, when he got knocked out by Deontay Wilder, he did not get up on time and Deontay Wilder got up on time. So those are the core major differences for all you dumbass Fury fans out there that's gonna be raving, or just be raging like pussies on drugs. That's really what I call you in the comment sections, to say Deontay Wilder, he lost to Fury by the count, when that's not true. Like, if you're in any world championship level fight, if you're able to still get up, you should still get the benefit of the doubt to have a fair count in any world championship level fight, no matter what the cost is, because that's what fighters go through. You will take whatever risk possible to be at your best, as a professional fighter. That's just how I see it. If you are good, you are going to come out of your way to be the best that you could be, because that's what fighters should be doing. But if you're not good and you have to have a referee cheat for you to scam the crowd to think that you got up, then that just shows that you're not good. You're a fucking coward. You're a fucking absolute failure. But for Tyson Fury's case, in the second fight with Wilder, it clearly showed that he was not good at all to even contend with Wilder when Wilder was trying to regain his bearings, because even though that Wilder was drugged, it still showed deficiencies in his game, where Tyson Fury still had to throw the kitchen sink at Wilder to even get close to even hurting him. And I think that was the main issue, because Tyson Fury, he was at a point of his career where the damage that he took from the first fight clearly showed in the second fight. It didn't show enough because Tyson Fury, he obviously had the advantage over Wilder, but imagine if Wilder was able to regain his bearings in the second fight, because his trainer threw in the quote-unquote towel to say that, oh no, he wasn't able to continue, blah blah blah. No, that's not true, because Mark Breland's a fucking, he's a fucking idiot, for one, but two, we all know that Deontay Wilder clearly told Mark Breland not to do something, and guess what, he did it, because that's what you would tell your employee, not to do something at a job, but yet they still do it because they're just idiots. And if you run a business and you tell your employees not to do something that you order them to do, then they're going to come out of their way and still do it. No, that's a fair reason to get them, to get them fired. So, when people say justice for Mark Breland, what they're saying is that Deontay Wilder was doing his job, so we're mad at Deontay Wilder firing one of his employees that he hired. So, I mean, it's just a clear indicator to show, Deontay Wilder, he wasn't, in the wrong of doing anything stupid. I mean, he was in any position necessary to try to win the fight, and, who knows, he could have knocked out Tyson Fury, with that same punch where he knocked him down. And, I mean, if you really think about it, Tyson Fury just, he had his best outing against a much more weaker version of Deontay Wilder that we haven't seen before, and Deontay Wilder was still able to make success despite all the odds up against him. So, case in point, in this situation to the third fight with Fury, it still showed, because Deontay Wilder, he was obviously not the same. A little bit, I would say. I don't think it was by a huge margin. I think, honestly, it was due to the weight that Tyson Fury had on Deontay Wilder, and Deontay Wilder thought, okay, well, I think he's probably bigger than me. He was bigger than him on fight night when he was coming in at 205 or under 200 pounds. Well, actually no, Deontay Wilder came in at 205, 215, but Deontay Wilder thought if he could come in just as big as Fury, that would have made a huge difference to win the fight. But that obviously wasn't true. So Tyson Fury, he took advantage of Wilder's lack of discipline with the stamina that he wasted. And I mean, that's not really smart out of Fury. It's just that Fury was lucky that Deontay Wilder tired out, and Wilder, he was not going by the technique that he learned with Malik Scott. But I think it was just due to the stamina. That's all. Because Wilder, he had the skill to beat Fury in the third fight, and it's not even to call for an excuse. It's just that Wilder clearly was tired, and he wasn't able to, solidify himself to defeat Fury the way he wanted it to be. But I think either way, Fury, he still came in cheating in the third fight, because remind you, he still had messed up gloves that was approved by the WBC and the Nevada State Athletic Commission, where the fight itself was clearly in favor of Fury. So just clearly showed that Deontay Wilder, he's better than Fury, but it takes a cheating commission on top of Fury's team to basically come out of their way and just cheat. So I think either way, let the eyes are set to any standard in any form of cheating, that when that someone is not better than you in a sport, you'll do anything in your power to be at that level to try to cheat, and you'll do it until people actually wake up against it to do something, in the measures of saying that, that you need to be stopped and this is not fair, blah, blah, blah. And, you'll be called out for your bullshit. But in Fury's case, he's just at the point of his career where people think that he can do no wrong. He's such a great Samaritan, blah, blah, blah. And it's not true. It's Tyson Fury knows, he's a sick bastard, and, he's a piece of shit. So, with all three fights, reviewed with Wilder, the second fight showed that Deontay Wilder could have easily made an attempt to hurt Fury in that fight if Mark Breland did not throw in the towel that Wilder told him not to do. But in the third fight, Wilder obviously made a couple personal errors where he came in, a very overweight, and he did not look any better. He definitely had more of the stamina issue rather than the skills issue, because skills wise, his style was definitely all wrong for Fury, but he just needed to have the athletic ability with it. And I think that's what makes Deontay Wilder such a special fighter, because Deontay Wilder, he had more of a tougher style for Fury when he moved around in the ring. And credit to Wilder's fundamentals, but Wilder, with such limited experience beating up on a more heavily advanced, standardized boxer in Tyson Fury, just shows that Deontay Wilder, he is a better, boxer puncher heavyweight out of the heavyweight division, because Wilder, he doesn't need to show his boxing skills because he has the one-hitter quitter. So the equalizer is in effect where he doesn't need to show it, but when he has to show it, he actually does very, very good. He's a very good, above average boxer. He's not like the greatest boxer out there, but he's at the level of any heavyweight where all it takes is one shot. So why do I need to use more of my tool set to make it seem like I need a box? So if anything, Wilder, he's a very unorthodox puncher boxer. And how I can explain that is that he's a puncher first, but then when he needs to box late game, he can do it because he knows how to set up his shots beautifully. That takes skill in boxing. So that's something that I believe that falls under the category of being a pure boxer, but it's not entirely a boxer. So he's a hybrid puncher boxer versus being a boxer puncher, because the difference between boxer puncher and puncher boxer is that you're more inclined to punch because you can hit hard, but when you have a good solid technique as a puncher, that does take skill as a puncher. But when you have to be forced to box and you actually have a good standardized boxing skill, then that's what makes you a puncher boxer versus boxer puncher. You move around the ring, you move around let the ring more. you utilize more technical ability and you have a lot more destruction off of those punches because you're moving around the ring with more fundamentals with your athletic ability. So I just think that's how it's really supposed to be strategized when you look at fighters that are fundamentally or technically gifted. And yeah, I think, overviewing the cheating behind Fury versus Wilder, Tyson Fury showed out of all three fights that he's not a fair fighter, and he shows he's not better than Deontay Wilder when he has to show his cowardice to pretend as if he's the ultimate badass when he's really not. So I think when it all comes down to it, Tyson Fury understands his limits as a fighter, but he knows that Deontay Wilder is better than him. He just doesn't want to express it to him because he understood in all three fights that the first and third the first and third fight showed that Tyson Fury cannot handle Deontay Wilder's power, and the second fight was his very little opportunity for him to barely beat Deontay Wilder with all the cheating that he had, and Deontay Wilder was still coming back being a threat to him. So case in point, the second fight was his best version, but the third fight and first fight was his worst versions coming into those fights. And every time when Fury gets hurt by Wilder, he shakes up. He does not look like the same, and Wilder's power really puts a massive physical damage toll on his body. So that's why Tyson Fury does not ever plan to fight Deontay Wilder leading up to every single fight that they've had. Well, leading up to the three fights that they did add, it just shows that Tyson Fury after the first fight was not confident enough to fight Wilder after the first fight. He needed those quote-unquote tune-ups to make himself feel, to make himself feel confident to fight Wilder, which, it wasn't confidence. It was simply because he knew that he needed to get more cheating tactics put together to practice on his new cheating. So that's what made Tyson Fury confident enough to come out of his way to fight Wilder in a second fight, which that was leading up to February, if I'm not mistaken. So he had like two in-between fights that didn't make any sense, but still, it just showed that Deontay Wilder, he was a better fighter. He wanted Fury right after the first fight, and Fury didn't want to fight him. So Wilder was like, okay, you know what? Let me fight Luis Ortiz and Dominic Brazil for, two stay busy fights, which those two fights were, well, obviously the first fight, with Brazil, he knocked him smooth. He knocked him smooth, the F out. But with the Luis Ortiz fight, especially with the rematch, you could easily tell that definitely took a toll on his body, because with Deontay Wilder, if I'm not mistaken, before the Fury loss, he was, already going to war with Tyson. Well, he was already going to war with whatchamacallit. He was already going to war with Luis Ortiz and Dominic Brazil after having the, draw with Fury, where he arguably beat the shit out of him and he should have won that fight. But still, it clearly showed that Deontay Wilder was the more aggressive fighter that wanted to beat him, and Fury showed that he was a coward and he had no means to be in the ring with Wilder. And Wilder never needed to rematch him. That's another big thing too. But I think either way, it just clearly showed that Deontay Wilder, he's way better than, most people try to discredit him for. And he is the Bronze Bomber, He is the Alabaman warrior that people don't want to talk about. And he shows why people can't mess with him. So I think that's about it. I think I've done enough hashing on this situation. But Yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say, man. Let me know what you guys think about this. I think Tyson Fury deserves to be in prison for his crimes. And yeah, to hell with him, to hell with Daniel Canahan and the rest of the MTK fuckboy family. So yeah, that's pretty much it, man. I'll see you guys later. And Bomb Squad. And shout out to Deontay, the Bronze Bomber Wilder. And I am out. And shout out to the mighty LDBC and TWT family. I'm out. And fuck Tyson Fury. Peace.